guys, how you doing this afternoon? It's afternoon here anyway. The next video you're going to see has been compiled over a bunch of tests and repair attempts that I did on my 1541 drive over the last couple of years. And if you remember, back when I got my Commodore a couple of years ago and fixed the keyboard on that. Well, anyway, fix the SID. I got a new SID, we're going to test that out, but I have a long series of working on this disk drive. I had a lot of video recorded of me attempting to repair it years ago and running under the same problem. The disk drive ran and searched and looked for files but couldn't find files. Well, you'll find out what's wrong in this newest selection of the video, which you'll tell because I'm working on the disk drive actually on my bar, because it's the flattest area I could find that didn't have stuff piled on it already. And so I'll just show bits and pieces like how I took the drive apart and how I hooked the scope up to it and looked at some signals. And I'll just use a few minutes of the old stuff and then I'll put the new stuff on and how I came to the determination of what was wrong. And it's actually a fail. I couldn't get it to work, but I'll tell you the reason why. And we'll come to a conclusion after that, and maybe someday I can get it repaired. All right, guys and gals, welcome back to Bob's Barn Workshop. It's been a little while since I did anything with this old Commodore. I just started it up to make sure that it was still space bar is still a little hinky, but it does work. Backspace, clear. I don't know. Anyway, what we're here today to try to frig with is this old 1541. Now, I haven't tested this at all. This came with the Commodore when I bought it. I never had any discs. I won an eBay auction for a pile of 25 discs. Said not guaranteed to work because they had no way of testing them, so they sold them as blank. I was looking at the cable for this, and it's horribly corroded. So I'm just going to hit it with some CRC contact cleaner. I might have to do more because the pins are really kind of black. I'm going to turn the Commodore off. Now, if you remember, I had a little wiggle that around a little bit, that might help. In and out a few times. One of those SDIECs or whatever they're called, the little solid state 1541. It does work. I just haven't figured out how to use it exactly perfectly right yet. So Commodore comes on, comes back to life. Let's see what happens. Alright, well, we got the red light for a second, the green light is on. I'm going to type So hi guys and gals, we're back. I did a little research. I was looking at troubleshooting this and all sorts of things going on here. This looks like this could possibly be just a blank disk. I have that diagnostic cartridge that is supposed to have shoot, I got a list here somewhere of what the settings are for the 1541 test. Alright, let me find that, then we'll come back. Alright, so I have come up with the chart. I've got this now running the 1541 diagnostics program. It says to insert a blank disk. I don't know that this is blank. Doesn't look like it's ever been run. I don't know. So let's do an alignment check. Press any key. A to loop, what does that mean? No. Press any key. Okay, BAM. Let's try the BAM. I have no idea what that means. Disk command. Directory. Alright. Press any key. Speed check. Supposed to be 300. That didn't work. Performance test. Failed. Okay. Error, read error. So, we're having some errors and stuff going on here. I don't know exactly. Okay, so I think I need to go in and just manually check the heads. Come on. Sector view. I/O test. Read error. Not sure what all that means. Let's see. Here's fast format. Let's format. See what happens. No. Says 0 bad sectors, but I'm having errors on other stuff. Okay. This says Jace disk. Let's see if I can read the directory. So, what does this mean? What does it mean? I think I saw Adrian do this, open it up and change, clean Adrian's digital basement. I've been watching him quite a bit to work on these Commodores. I'm going to try cleaning the heads, and we'll see what we come up with after that. Alright, so I'm not, you know, you open it up. Well, yeah, I guess we can do it. I'm going to turn off and unplug this. I'm going to turn off this. I might have to go fetch some tools. Get all the debris off here so I don't scratch my case up. No, I don't think this is going to be long enough, she said. Alright, I have solder suckers and all kinds of tools up here. The problem is, those are so far recessed. My phone is, I don't think I can fit the thing down in there, but maybe I can. Oh yeah, it'll, no, ain't gonna fit. Dang it. Alright, so I just gotta go get a straight. From what I've seen, guys do, Adrian in particular, Adrian's digital basement gets credit again, as I said, is this all seems pretty cut and dried. Make sure these screws are loose. I've got a feeling they're just going to drop out the bottom. Because I think the whole... So we're going to flip it this way slowly. Yeah, I heard him come out, and then this should come right off. And we have the RF shield on here. I'm going to remove this stuff. You guys don't really want to see all this. I'm just going to take this off. 7812, 7805 regulators in there. Yeah, she's filthy inside. You just need to take this off and the PC board. So I'm going to loosen them up first and then we'll come back. So I'm trying to zoom in here a little bit. I don't even have to take the motherboard out of here, because there's your heads, and you can just gently lift up on this, and it does look like there's some debris in there. And I have a little alcohol here. Now this isn't a 99% or anything. This is just regular old rubbing alcohol. Oh yeah, it was a black mess. It was a black mess. I'm going to try to clean the pad here a little bit. Now that just rides on the back of the disc. She's a little dirty, but it runs nice and smooth. I'm going to let that alcohol dry for a little bit. There looked like a lot of sludge on it. And raise my little pad, pressure pad up. Make sure that's dry. Alright. So, there is no harm in plugging this back in if you're being careful. Plug our serial communications port back in here. Where are you? Does it matter which one I plug into? Oh, there they are. I think they're in parallel, so you can just daisy chain it. One's up, stops, just like she's supposed to. Turn the diagnostics back on. Oh, push that all the way in. Now let's try fast format. Failed last time. See the head moving back and forth and writing? Press any key. Okay, alignment check. We're going to go right down the list. Space check. Alright, so I'm getting read errors. So these disks could be fine. I'm not going to consider them toast. I see a chip. Okay, I see a chip that's got a... look at that chip right there. The leg on that chip is bent over. So I'm going to power it off. I'm not sure what that chip does. I'm going to pull the line cord just in case. Nice little skinny flat screwdriver. Yeah. I'm just going to get under there. Oh yeah. The pin isn't in the socket. Look at that. Can you see that? Focus on that bent pin. Bob is going to straighten that out. Now these sockets, now that is properly seated. That's a 7407. I don't know that it has anything to do with anything. It's a logic gate. All right, we're going to turn this guy off. That could have had nothing to do with nothing. I actually have a chip tester, and that's socketed. See, somebody might have worked on that because that's socketed. Socketed it did. And then put back in wrong. Okay, I got 0 bad sectors. Now that I fixed that, I got 600 and some bad the last time. performance test. Okay, we're going to try this again. Formatting. No, read error. That might have not been relative to anything, but I have a big book that I can get online that will give you a step-by-step flow chart of how to track down what's going on. So I'm going to have to go print out the relative pages for that. Relevant pages. Let me check the power supplies just to make sure we are getting power where we need it. Yeah, I don't have a good meter with me right here, so I'm gonna hook up this old Lafayette, or this old Radio Shack. Let's see, DC volts 25. We'll get half scale. DC volts. Well, I got my ground on there. Oops, I turned it off. And that's, I want that on common. And volts. Check the meter before you do anything, right? Volts DC 50. Let's see if there's anything across the capacitor here. Alright. Oh, that's 0.25. 50. If we put that on half, that should come out to 25. So that looks like pretty close to 12 volts on that one. And that one's got a lot, but see, we need to look relative to that capacitor. That's got 20 volts on it, so that's probably the well, it shouldn't. Nothing would run. I've got to find the ground on this circuit. Okay. I need a better probe than this, but hook this up to the... I know that positive tantalum capacitor right there is supposed to be 12 volts. So that should go up to about mid-scale, which it does. Yeah, my scale's set a little high here. So. You can calibrate your meter by adjusting your meter like so. Now it should read closer to right on 12. Yes, it does. 12.4 maybe. Logic ICs, usually pin 14 is there. 5 volts. I don't know what the schematic is on this, so. There we go. We got 5 volts too. Oh, those regulators must be ground. Okay, because sometimes the body of a regulator, like this big TO3 packages, yeah, that's right on 5 volts. Alright, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the power supplies. But I haven't given up why this thing fails. Error 21, read error. You can't open a file for reading. But I don't know that I'm using the right commands. If there's any special commands, of course there are no commands, you just hit the button. Well, fixing that chip didn't seem to fix anything. Must be that leg that was cockeyed was still touching. Of course all these chips are socketed too, and Adrian went through and cleaned them all. But it's sort of working, other than it's having like read-write errors. So anyway, I'm going to go do some more research. I'm going to download that big file and we'll come back someday and see what we can do with this. Everything goes off. Remember this disk drive we were working on a year or two ago? It had a file read error. Well, I figured out the problem by watching several videos on fixing these drives. It runs mechanically like it should, but when I search for a file, 8, 1, I'll try it again. Comma 8. Okay, watch the head. The head does not move at all. So, what's the problem? The head is stuck. It's really, really hard to move. So I'm just going to turn the power off. And I'm going to go in and clean and lube the rails. And we're going to see if this sucker works, actually. And all it was just getting jammed up. I'll loosen the PC board so I can get under there and clean the heads. I've removed the 5 1/4-inch screws or so from the top, but there's still 2 longer ones here on the side that they need to be taken out. So we're going to take those out and we'll push the board back. So I've taken a Q-tip and APA alcohol and cleaned off those rods that you see in there. That's where it travels. And now we're going to I'm going to spray some silicone on into a little dish, and we're going to put it on with a Q-tip. So I've put the silicone on there, and I'm going to put 1 screw in the corner of this. Sorry. To keep it from wandering and falling off. I'll do that and we'll do a test. Well, guys and gals and fans and friends of Bob's Barn Workshop, I have been putzing around with this disk drive for a couple of years now, and unfortunately I believe my quest to get it running has come to an end. The reason being, if you've seen me try to read, and everything works mechanically, the head moves, the disk turns, all that, but we still get no file read. Well, I told you that I was getting 15 kilo ohms across the head, and I'll bring the head leads up here and I'll put the meter here. I'm hoping you can read that, and I will touch the blue and the red wire, and it says 15.22 kiloohms. That's 1,000 ohms, 15,000 ohms. And I went online and I found the 1541 service manual. And for this Mitsumi Neutronics drive, the head impedance is supposed to be 32 ohms, 32.0. So that indicates that the head has gone open, and I've seen several different YouTube videos where people are talking about these drives and saying that these Mitsumi drives have a tendency to have the heads go open. So that's where I am for now. I think this thing will work perfectly as soon as it had a head put into it. But trying to find a head. Now, I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure, I forget what the other version is called, with the lever that clicks down to latch it. All I can think of is Altair, but Alps drive will fit right in here, and I think you only have to change like one jumper to change the read-write setup. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for somebody selling a disk drive that's dead or very cheap, you know, dead, for parts only, and hopefully I'll get lucky and the head will be good. So I guess that's what I'm up to. If somebody out there wants to donate an old Commodore disk drive or an old 64 or some accessories for an old 64, I mean old games, old cartridges, whatever, we're going to play around with this thing a little bit periodically. And it'd be really neat. I bought a whole bunch of discs off from eBay with 3 or 4 games on each disc, which we could screw around and play with. I have both the Final Cartridge 3 and I also have the Easy Flash 3, and they both have fast loaders in them that are supposed to speed up the function of these drives. But for right now, it's dead in the water. So again, if you want to donate a drive, hey, I'd be glad to. Just leave me a message in the comments, and I'm going to create an email address, and it's just going to be Bob's Barn Workshop, no punctuation, one word, at hotmail.com. And I might put that in the description of this video. So I'm going to go try to create that, and if I can, then you guys can email me, and then we can correspond, and I could give you a mailing address or whatever if you wanted to donate any goodies. Alright, guys and gals, we're done for now. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to start a whole new video, is the SID. I think you saw that in my other video on this. The SID is dead. It's not dead, but it squawks and buzzes and makes horrible noises, and I know it's not working right. So I'm going to just do a demonstration and show you how I solve that problem and get good SID sounds. Alright, guys and gals, this is Bob signing off. God bless, take care, we'll see you, and be safe. And P.S. You see that giant transformer in this? That's the analog power supply. They didn't even have switching power supplies back in the day, and what this does is this creates 24 volts AC, which is alternating current. Peak to peak, that's about 3 times past that, so you're talking 30 some volts or whatever. I forget what the formula is. What that does is then it goes through a diode bridge. This diode bridge changes it from positive to negative pulses to just positive pulses. They pump it into a big capacitor. That helps smooth it out at 20 or 30 volts. And then they pump it into these voltage regulators. Well, then these voltage regulators reduces the voltage down from that high voltage unfiltered. There'll still be ripple, noise on this cap. There's a 78 volt 7812 and a 7805, which these regulators drop it down to 12 and 5 volts, which this drive needs. Now what happens is when you draw current through these regulators, they have to drop the voltage from whatever this higher voltage is down to the 12 and the 5. Well, what that causes is the voltage drop across these transistors. They're basically, that's what they are, big transistors. has to be dissipated as heat. So if you draw 1 amp and you've got 10 volts of difference between what's on the capacitor and what's on the regulator, that's 10 watts. 10 watts of heat that gets dissipated in this heat sink right into these drives, and that's why they're so hot. So one of the newer upgrades is we pull out these regulators, pull out that transformer, we buy a little switching power supply, which is about that big, super efficient, they don't get hot. We mount it in the bottom here, and then we just solder on to where the transistors leads come off, and feed power into it that way, and we get rid of all that heat and weight. That would be a fun upgrade. If you guys want to see that, let me know. Alrighty, on to the next one. We're going to do this test. Take care, guys.